Welcome back to Doing Time with Dan. I'm out here at the Strasburg Railroad in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, testing my Zoom H4n digital audio recorder. I have it hooked up to my boom pole with the Rode NTG-2 microphone inside that blimp suspension system, and we'll see exactly how this sounds. We're going to check out the steam train as well as some of the Amish carts that are passing by. All right, here we go. Okay, we're in the studio now. That was me out at the Strasburg Railroad in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. We're going to get to that project in just a second. But first, let's talk about the Zoom H4n digital audio recorder. It's actually recording my voice right now, and I'm going to give it a demonstration of it as I sync it up with the video that you're watching here. This is a great unit. Right now I have it plugged in and recording. I also have the remote connected. You want to grab this remote when you buy this unit, especially if you're recording on location, because you'll be able to set the zoom closer to your subjects or use remote microphones and stuff, and then use the remote control for the zoom itself, and that way you don't have to be standing right next to it or hand holding it and getting any of that kind of noise in your recordings. Alright, so let's talk about the Zoom H4n itself. In the first place, you can see the menu screen here, and I'll touch one of the buttons so that it lights up. The display does go off after a while to conserve battery power, but it is very readable. Even in low light, if you're on location doing a gig or taking wild sound like I do on location for sound effects, you'll be able to see those meters and the different functions and menu screens right there. Just light it right up and you'll be able to see them very clearly. The next thing you're going to notice about this is you do have powered XLR ports. They're 24 volt and 48 volt selectable, so that if you have XLR microphones, which are the ones that I prefer to use, you can get your power source right here from the Zoom H4n. It's powered itself by two AA batteries that are contained inside of here. And you want to definitely keep the alkalines on handy because you're going to need lots of those. It does suck up some power, but you know, unless your gig's going to run 5 hours, you'll be just fine. Finally, you notice the transport controls here on the face, as well as 4 other buttons that are labeled for your files and your folders, the speed, and the selection of what type of file you're making. There's a wheel on the side, as well as level controls, menu selection there, and on this side you have volume control, USB port, and the on-off switch, as well as a line for your headphones and the remote control that I have plugged in there. This is a great digital recorder. You can do all different kinds of files. You can do waves, MP3s, all the different versions that you can read in the manual and see exactly what those are. I don't want to rehearse them all here. What I do want to talk about is the manual, because as you know, most of the manuals for electronic devices are absolutely terrible. This one right here in my hot little hands is fantastic. First of all, there's real world examples in here. So if you're setting up for a gig, there's an example that shows you how you plug in your guitars, your microphones, different things with your mixer, and then you're going down to the Zoom H4n. So it's going to have real world examples for you, so when you're on site, you're going to know what you're doing. It's very clearly written. There's pictures of the different menu screens included, as well as step-by-step instructions 1, 2, 3, 4, so that you know what you're doing. It's written in English. You can get them in other versions as well, but I'm happy to say that this manual has been one of the best I've ever found for an electronic device. All right, now let's talk about going out on location. Why did I buy the Zoom H4n? In the first place, I wanted better sound for my video. You know that I reviewed the Rode NTG-2 microphone and the blimp suspension system. You're going to see it in action today combined with the Zoom H4n. This is my rig for getting location sound, also picking up live sound effects, what we call wild sound. That sound that isn't synced up with the video, so that later on we can use it for different purposes, and I'm going to give a great example of that in just a few minutes. So right now, let's head back out to Strasburg, and you're going to see me record sound live from a passing steam train. Okay, the next piece of video you're going to watch is the steam train backing up across the tracks. Now, when the steam train backed up, I recorded the sound of the running gear because I want to use that in a different scene when the steam train whistle was blowing. Now, when you heard the whistle blow, you noticed that the limiter came on and prevented the audio from distorting. That's another great thing about the H4n. It does have some built-in effects as well as limiters and compressors on this unit, so that when you're making a tape like this, you can protect the audio sound without getting all that distortion in there. All right, so let's hear the running gear go by as the train backs across the crossing, because we're going to use that for a different set of video. Here we go. On that pass, as the train backed up, I recorded the sound of the running gear. And what I'm going to do next is sync up that same audio track with a different video track. This time the train is moving forward across the crossing, but it was the take where the whistle was blowing. I don't want the whistle blowing as it goes across the tracks. Instead, I want to have that audio of the running gear. So first, I'll run it without any sound at all. So you'll just see the train going by and it'll be silent. And then I'll lay that soundtrack in of the running gear. All right, here we go. There's an example of using the H4n to gather wild sound and then syncing it up with one of my video takes. Now with the steam train it's pretty easy because you can see the position of the running gear as it moves back and forth, and from one take to another you can sync that up. If not, if the train wasn't running at the same speed or something was different there, you could have gone into Pro Tools with your audio file and adjusted it accordingly. Now, I didn't have to do that, thankfully, because the train was running basically, at the same speed. However, the H4n creates really powerful files, so that you need that detail, you can go in there and slice up those audio files and get exactly that portion of the effect that you need it. But let's say you're just a singer-songwriter. Well, remember, you have your two XLR inputs here as well as the 1/4 inch and the stereo microphones out front. If you want to record a gig or something live or do a demo tape, I think the H4n could do it for you. You can do up to 4-track recording with this unit. The stereo microphones on top have both the 90 and the 120 degree positions for a slightly different stereo picture. Using the menus is very easy, as I said. The manual is excellent, and that's a benefit right there, because so much of the electronic devices we get today, the manuals are absolute garbage. But not with the H4n. That manual is key. You want to keep a copy of that. In fact, I would make a copy of that and lock it away in your safe. The rest of the thing, I have to say, this is just a great unit. I mean, instant playback of your files, so after you record, you just hit the play button, it'll play the last file back for you, so you can make sure that you grab the take that you wanted. You're recording to SD cards, they're cheap as can be anymore, so you can have hours of footage, just swap out an SD card and keep right on going. AA battery power, very convenient, just keep a bunch of those with you because it does use quite a bit of power. The playback speaker, it's not the best, but it's just to know that you got the recording. And again, you're watching that screen for those level meters. There's built-in effects. You can look all those up on the Zoom website. There's too many to list here. The compressors, the limiters, everything built into a single handheld form. So here at Doing Time with Dan, we're going to give the Zoom H4n 5 stars. It's done a great job for us, and I'm sure it will do a great job for you. Thanks for stopping by here. Stay tuned for more gadget reviews, videos of steam trains flying, and of course lots of information from my favorite island of Aruba.